an attack where we've got lapel hold and a downward blow. He's got a weapon coming in on this. Now, I've taken a small stance to start off with, so I've got my left leg forward. When he comes in, I'm doing a cross block. With the cross block, with my left leg forward, my left arm goes on top. I open the left hand, knee kick him, swing around. You've got to move your leg out of the way, so that way the weapon clears you, and I lift up to put a lock on him. We just rewind this back. In your cross block, if he pushes down against this, it should be a nice strong position. Knee kick coming in, up and lock. When I've got the lock on him, I take the weapon off him by taking the hold, strip it out of his hand, push his arm down, I strike, and I come back to stance. Lapel hold and downward blow, and I'm working to the outside of him. He's doing again a downward blow coming into the head. I've got to move out of the way of this, so I'm just doing a quarter step. As I move, I bring my right arm up and just parry this. The left arm goes at the inside of his arm. I take a hold and then I reverse or tie sabaki back. As I'm doing this, I'm pushing the weapon so it's going to go up and strike him. Now I'm aiming up to the side of his neck, but you could aim towards the side of the head. I reverse back, draw him down to the floor, put my knee down into his rib area, and I've actually got a wrist lock on him. I take the weapon off him, I can strike, and I come up to stance. Lapel hold and downward blow. This time I'm working to the inside of him. Now as the attack is coming in, I'm using my left hand to parry his arm out of the way and I make a strike. This is going to be a glancing blow. So I'm just using the palm heel. I reach over so my thumb just goes to the back or the base of his thumb, fingers into the fleshy part of his hand, and then I go back and elbow strike him. You see my body weight is shifting as I do this. Left hand comes up, takes a hold, I step away, and I've got a nice wrist lock on him, draw him down to the floor, take the weapon off him, kick into the groin, step back, strike to finish. Lapel hold and a side blow coming into the head. Still keeping with a weapon attack on this. From his side blow, I reinforce the block. He pushes against my arm. I'm in a very powerful position. Off from here, I'm doing an elbow strike. Draw around and step back. I lift his arm up, so I draw his arm up his back, put some pressure on his wrist, force the weapon out of his hand, take a hold with my right arm, weapon goes underneath his chin, I push him back. Once he's away, can kick, move back to stance. I change over position on this so you can see a different side on this. So I've got reinforcing my block, elbow strike, in, lock comes on, take the weapon off him, lift him up, push, kick, back to stance. Lapel hold, I've got my left leg forward and he's doing a side blow coming into the head. Now I'm doing the throw tie tashi, but on this one I want it to flow through, so we're not actually blocking his arm or stopping off movement. When he does his attack, I'm moving, throw, take him over, so it's one nice fluid movement. To do this you need to bend on your one knee, keep your other leg out straight. Once he's down on the floor, I extend his arm over, observing where his elbow joint is, put my knee down just the back of the elbow, so I've got him locked, weapon is away, I can strike, move up to stance. Lapel hold and a side blow, again we've got the weapon attack coming in. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving to the inside of him, but I use an open hand block. If he wants to push against this, we should be in a strong position because of our stance and posture to stop off the attack. As I move into him, I'm making a strike and pushing. When I push, I want to try and drive his shoulder into his face. I advance forward with my left leg, slide my left arm up and start to put pressure on his elbow joint, and this is being used against my body, and I push. I'm going to slide my left leg out and take him down to the floor. I now have a lock on his elbow and wrist. I've also been able to disarm him quite easily. A strike coming in, move up and into stance. lapel hold and a straight punch coming into Jodan, which is head area. Now when he's doing the punch, I'm quarter stepping to move out the way. Do a little bit of a fast punch for me. I move out the way. When I'm moving, I'm bringing the one arm up, so my right hand is just going to hook by his wrist, and left arm goes just the back of his elbow. Now this arm position here is really important. So you need to bend this arm up so your thumb is almost touching your shoulder. So as he does his punch, I move into him, and I've got a wrist lock on by pulling up with my right, pushing down with the left. Project him forward to take him down to the floor, put my knee into his kidney area, extend his arm forward and then twist. So I'm turning clockwise, put a lock on him, move away, kick and stance. Right. A lapel hold and straight punch coming in again. Now I'm moving, quarter stepping out the way of this, but this time I'm just doing a deflection with my left hand. My right hand comes in and strikes to his groin. So we do a move through. I come up and I'm clasping my hands together, and this is putting a lock onto the side of his neck. Squeeze coming in, so I've got my lock on him. Knee kick, I take a hold on his collar or his hair out in the street, step back, palm heel the back of his head, drive him down to the floor, heel kick coming into his kidneys, and back into a fighting stance. Lapel hold and straight punch coming into the face. This time I'm working to the inside of him. So as his punch comes through, I move to the inside. As I move to the inside, I'm just slipstreaming his punch and deflecting it out the way. And this will be my left hand. My right hand comes through and makes a strike. I reach over, putting my thumb onto the back of his, or the base of his thumb, fingers into the fleshy part of his hand, and then crush my elbow going back into his face. I step away from him, bring the left arm through his arm, take a hold onto his hand and apply a lock. This lock is extremely powerful. Right? All I want to do now is reverse back on my left foot, draw him down to the floor, the lock stays on him continually, and I put my right knee down into the side of his body, extend his arm out, strike him, come back to stance. Double lapel hold at the front. Now, I've already taken a posture on this, and I'm going to step forward, and I'm stepping forward with my right leg, doing a little flick to his groin. Right. As I flick to his groin, I step in, and then I put this hand, which is my right hand, just at the top of his thigh, and start to push and throw him down. The left hand takes a hold on this and projects him forward. Now, when I'm moving him forward, I want to transfer my one arm, being my left arm, underneath, and I take a hold, so I actually get a figure four lock onto his leg and lift upwards. As I lift him up, I start to roll him over, put my knee down into the centre of his back and pull upwards, so I've got a lock on him, strike into the groin, and I move back into stance. Attacker's taken a hold onto my lapels. I'm using both hands to take a hold onto his wrists, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to come forward, do a little kick towards the groin, and then elbow strike underneath his chin. I took my hips in very, very deep to him, start to draw him forward, throw to bring him around. I cross his arms over, lining his elbow up, so I get a lock on him, put my knee down into his throat, got control of him, cupped hand strike coming into the groin. I move back into a stance. Right, got lapel hold at the front. I'm taking a hold onto his wrist, and this is with my left hand. I step back and make a strike, threaten an elbow going towards his face, bring my left hand underneath, take a hold into his hand, elbow pointing up first, and then tilt it down to the floor. This is a nice rolling action. All I do is reverse back, crash his elbow down onto the floor, and I've got the Sankyo lock on him, so that way I can control him. Let go, strike to finish. Single lapel grab. Now, in a position like this, I've got to be very careful because this is cocked and loaded and ready to strike out at me. So all I'm doing is I'm bringing my right hand, taking a hold onto his attack arm and pull him across. And what I'm doing is I'm moving away from that punch. I put my hand upon his chin and start to turn his head. When I'm turning the head, I reverse back, drawing down to the floor, put my knee into his side, extend his arm out so I've got a straight arm lock, strike going into the ribs area, and then move back into stance. Single lapel hold. Now what I'm doing this time is I'm stepping slightly to the outside. As I step to the outside, I'm making a striking blow. This is with my left hand, and then I do a circular motion, hook it underneath his arm, draw his shoulder forward. Take a hold of my arm, drawing down to the floor, knee goes in between his shoulder blades. I apply wrist and shoulder lock, strike into his kidney area, move back into stance. Single lapel hold. Now I've got my left leg forward, but what I'm doing is I'm bringing my right hand up and taking a hold onto his hand. As soon as I've got a grip, I'm moving, little flick coming into the groin, but remember to move your head away so you don't get an involuntary headbutt. The hand that flicks through into his groin goes underneath his arm, and I take a hold onto his wrist. All I want to do now is reverse back, drawing down to the floor. I advance forward and put my knee down into his neck area, pull his hand so his hand goes onto the upper part of my thigh. Left hand pulls all this together, so I'm pushing from my left hand down and into his neck. His rib area is open. I can strike and I move back up into stance. Hands restrained at the front. He steps forward and takes a hold, but I immediately step back away from him, and I'm turning my left hand towards me, so my palm is pointing towards me. This creates a gap where my fingers can go into the fleshy part of his hand and the thumbs go round to the back. I move slightly forward, give him a kick, step back, aim his elbow down to the floor. I strike down with this, so I've got a powerful lock on him. When you're doing this, you want to get an angle of his arm at about a 15 degree. Keep the lock on, strike to finish. Hands restrained at the front. As he takes a hold of me, I'm stepping back slightly with my left leg, and I'm also turning on the body. Move the hand away, lift the one arm up, tilt your hand away, and reach your right hand in under the gap that I've created. I lift his arm up, step around, draw him around so we're coming into our classic lock position. I bend his arm up, my left forearm goes onto the back of his tricep muscle, and I transfer the hand around, and I've got a powerful lock on him. Again, I move into him, elbow strike him in the face, drop him down, knees go into his neck and rib area. I pull up and lock. I can strike, and I move back to stance. Hands restrained at the front. Now this time what I'm doing is I'm stepping forward, making a strike coming into his groin area, but I'm also pushing with my shoulder. I reach down with both hands, pull his legs away, keep his legs open, kick, and back to stance. The attacker has taken a hold onto my wrists. In this position, I'm going to step back. I'm using this straddle stance position again that we've utilised quite a few times. As I step back, I'm taking a hold of his wrist and pulling him forward. Elbow striking underneath his chin. As I elbow strike, he falls around backwards. I turn his wrist so his elbow joint is pointing forward. Front angle kick and come back to stance. The attacker has taken a hold of my wrist from the back, and what I'm doing is I'm stepping back with my left leg, dropping down onto my left knee, extending my hand forward and let my fingers get into the fleshy part of his hand. This would be my right hand. I can now put a Sankyo movement onto him. I drop my left hand down onto the floor, slide my left leg to the back of him, right leg comes up in front of him, I drop him down onto the floor, keep the Sankyo on, the heel kick him into the groin. Hands restrained at the rear. Now what I'm doing this time is I'm stepping back around his leg, and I'm doing this with my right leg. As I do my movement, I'm hitting him in the groin with my forearm, arms go to the back of his leg, I draw him forward, straighten his leg out, and I hit When I'm hitting, what I'm doing is I'm using the arm to come across, so scooping up onto the kneecap. I can strike, strike, move up and stance. The attacker has got his right hand up on my shoulder and he's trying to pull me backwards. To keep my balance, I need to step. But as I'm stepping, I need to distract him so I'm striking into his face. As I do this movement, I'm reaching around and I'm using a sword hilt strike, that's this part of the hand, and going into his throat. I move in, hit him, drive him down to the floor, move back, kick, stance. The attacker again has got his hand up on my shoulder and pulling me back. Now this technique is for a little bit more close quarter work. I'm moving into him, stepping through and protecting myself in case of any blows coming in, and then I'm going to elbow strike coming underneath his chin. So I'll move through, in, hit him, take him down to the floor, move back, kick, finish. The attacker has taken a hold onto my shoulder again with his right hand and is pulling me backwards. I'm coming in and making this backhand strike to him and wrapping my arm around so it just goes above his elbow joint, right hand onto his shoulder. I reach through so my left hand just takes a hold onto my forearm and I've got a figure four arm lock on him. Drive him down to the floor, put my knee down into the side of his body. You need to keep your head upright, apply a lock, I can strike, move back. The attacker's taken a hold onto my shoulder. As he's pulling back this time, throwing a punch around into my face area. As I step back, I'm going to block his arms out. I need to extend my arms out so they're nice and powerful. Shin kick the inside of his thigh. With my left hand, I've taken a hold onto his right arm. I feed the arm through so my arm goes underneath. This is my left hand, twisting on the right. I take a hold, put a lock on him, push the arm down, strike and move back. Attacker's got his hand on my shoulder, again pulling me back. As he's pulling me back, going for that blow coming around into the face area. As I'm stepping back, I block his arm, so again in a nice powerful position, shin kick through, I take his right arm, pass it right the way under his left, and now I've got a double arm lock on him. You just need to align his elbow up correctly for this. I disengage, elbow strike him, shift my body weight, kick, move back to stance. Hand on the shoulder, pulling me back, and a blow coming into my face again. Now, I'm moving back to maintain my balance. I block, shin kick him, and I'm feeding my one hand over to my right hand. So the left goes to the right. I go underneath his arm by just making contact. It's breaking his balance. I drop down on my knee, draw him down, pulling him nice and tight to me. When I'm doing this, I'm pushing on his elbow, draw his wrist away so I've got him locked. I can strike to finish. Block sequence. First of all, coming into yoi, ready position. First movement, rising block, forward stance. Second movement, downward sweeping block. Palm heel block. Inside forearm block. Outside forearm block. Reverse outside forearm block. Hands on the hips. Rising cross block. Hands back to the hips. Stepping forward. Downward cross block. Looking. Knife edge block and back stance. Looking opposite way. Stepping forward with my left leg. Double block. Hands going to the left side. Reinforced block. Coming back into yoi.